Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. What tank should I play next? Yes, this is a question I get quite a bit. If you are new to this game, this review is going to talk about the generalities of American tanks, and I'm going to go into the tech tree and break down all of the different tank types, maybe even get into a little bit of specifics. So if you're a player that's grinding, you've got lots of different, and you just don't know which one to grind next, hopefully you'll get something out of this video. First, I want to just make sure everybody is well aware that you've got four symbols down here. You've got a single diamond is for light tanks, double diamond is for medium, three diamond here is for heavies, and then your triangle, upside down triangle is for tank destroyers. So just make sure you know that. Obviously, those are the symbols that show up on your mini map, so you should be well aware of that. But just in case you're so new to the game, you don't know, just a friendly tip there. So recent update has changed the way that the tech trees look. Update 5.5, about a year or so ago, really changed the lower tiers. There's less of a choice. So you can go on the American line from the M2 Light to the M3 Stuart to the M5 Stuart, which I have kind of pulled up in my garage right now. But now you need to start making decisions. And with the amount of time and effort and games you have to play to grind through these tanks, you really want to know what you're getting yourself into. So generalities with American tanks. They are average at just about everything. There's no one glaring super advantage to the American tanks, but there's very, very few weaknesses either. So across the board, a very average tank. Mobility, your speed is just okay. You're not really going to be the fastest tank. Yes, there are exceptions to every rule. Think of T-37, T-71, the light tanks. Obviously, those are supposed to be fast. The new Sheridan tank, those are light tanks. They're supposed to be fast. But in general, say the mediums, the Pershings, they are going to be a little bit on the slower side when you compare them to other tanks of the same tier from other nations. Turret rotation, again, is average, actually to maybe a little bit below average. Your traverse speeds are decent. Your armor, well, the American tank is interesting. You've got decent hull armor, but you've got super great turret armor. Think of some of these tanks here: T-29, T-32, M103. Even, you get into the patents, they've got really nice turret armor, frontal turret that is. And obviously another trait for the American tanks is their engine in the back is an HE magnet. Just about every single tank in the game can pen with HE in the rear of an American tank. And as far as the guns go, they've got decent gun dispersion, they've got decent pen, and again, decent average per shot alpha. But as a generality, they have really good gun depression. So again, that goes with their great turrets. Getting yourself into super hold down positions makes these American tanks, in general, where you want to play them. So let's just break down here each of these lines. If we look here, and I'm just going to go from tier 5 to tier 10. Underneath, or I should say above this line here, are the TDs. So Wolverine, a little bit on the slow side. You've got a fully rotational turret, which is nice for tank destroyers. You don't see that a lot. Quite a few of the American tanks do have it. A good gun. Obviously, this is a tank destroyer, so you've got great penetration numbers. You split off here into two directions now. The Hellcat gets faster, less armor, as does the T-25-1. And then you jump into the T-28 prototype. Super difficult grind, in my opinion. This is an extremely slow tank. You oftentimes get left behind to fend for yourself. But it's worth it once you get to the T30, which has a super big gun, HE Alpha over 1,000, and then on to the T110E4, which has a semi-rotational turret. I believe it's 90 degrees in each direction, so 180, and it's just super frontal armor. Really great tank. Or you could go down the line here of the Jackson, and again, you're talking a little bit slower than the Hellcat. Nice armor. Again, you've got the open rotating turret. T25 AT is a great tank. Love playing this tank. It bounces so many shots, as you can see, based on that frontal armor there. T28 gets into a very difficult grind, again, just like the prototype, but this one's even harder because you don't have a rotational turret. T95 gets even slower. So these two tanks are probably, in my opinion, the two difficult tanks to grind. But I love the T110E3. So if you can get yourself over those two tanks there, this is a great tank. However, in my opinion, the better line to grind is going to be the T110E4 line. So now let's drop on down here and look at the heavy line. And I've done a review recently on the T1 and the M6. They both got nice armor upgrades from the front. They've got decent mobility, great ramming tanks. They're big, they're heavy, but they're also hard to hide the sides. You get then into the T29, beautiful tank. T32, again, all three of these, the M103, even the E5 here, super hold down tanks because their frontal armor is just really, really strong. And then you do have one other heavy stuck down here, the T57 heavy. So we'll basically talk about that here in the medium section, and it's kind of difficult really because you've got a couple mediums stuck here in this heavy line, and then obviously the new lights here with the missile tanks. So if you do come down through the M7, you've got the Sherman, the Easy 8, T20, Pershing, and Pattons. Again, for these medium tanks, they are not super fast. I prefer a much faster medium tank, and so I found these a little bit difficult to play. But don't get me wrong, if you can play these on hills with their great gun depression, I mean, this Patton and this rounded turret is going to bounce shells all day long. The light tanks, the T37, T71, been playing this a good bit. We start getting into autoloaders here. All have 3-shell autoloaders here from the T71 up, T69, and the beauty about those autoloaders is that you can do so much damage at one time. You pop off 3 shells real quick, and then you got to make sure that you are in a place where you're not going to get shot by other tanks because you've got a much longer reload. But once you're reloaded, you've got 3 shots ready to go. Get those off. And you know, with the T57 heavy here, let's just pull it up. Your damage per shot is 400. You get 3 off. There's 1,200 damage in a relatively short amount of time. So you find yourself with some really big damage games. Now, this is a really fun line to drive. And then finally, we've got the light tanks. Everyone loves the T49. It's one of the most played tanks in the game. Obviously, it's a super fast tank with a 152 millimeter gun on it. And it's just, it's just fun because you're racing around the map. You don't really even have to slow down. And you just drive behind somebody, shoot them in the butt, and just keep on going. And you're doing big damage numbers. And then obviously everyone knows about the new missile tanks and some of the controversy over those right now. So we'll see how long they stay in the game. I'm hoping that they do. I do like it, but they just need some adjustments to make them more even playing style, if you ask me. So those are your choices. I don't think there's outside of this T28, T95 line, there's really not a really difficult line to grind. And that's not the case with some of the other nations. And obviously, I will be getting into those a little bit later. I did want to point out a couple of other resources that are available to you. You've got blitzstars.com. You can obviously look up your own stats. You can look up other people's stats. You can look up clan stats. But most importantly, you can look up any tank in the game and compare it to other tanks. If you've seen my full tank reviews, obviously you've seen that before. And then you've got Blitzhanger. Really great resource for looking at your tank and how it compares to other tanks. You can switch it over to all tier 10 heavies, or all tier 10 tanks, or just tier 10 heavies if that's what you're looking at. So really customizable, and they do a great job with the armor upgrades for each update as well. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of a perspective on where the American line can take you and the differences. If you've got any other resources, hey, help me out. Share a link down below. If you've got any comments about these, please, interested in hearing your thoughts on the American tanks. And we're going to start doing the other nations as well, but I wanted just to start here with the American tanks. And with that, guys, have fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger is out.